Happy New Year, VC. It's Steve Whitty here with the first video of 2025. Hope you all had a good New Year and enjoyed yourself, whatever you be out or at home. First video of 2025. I've already done the vinyl tag, so this is going to be showing off my December finds. I've got a few records to show you. I'm going to just try and quickly go through them because I haven't really done much research for the video, but hey ho, let's go. Start with a bit of prog first. This is Nectar, and this is their album A Tab in the Ocean. Now, Nectar are a British band, but they're really more based in Germany, more popular in Europe than they were in the UK. I think this might be the second album, but yeah, I think this is actually a German pressing. Yeah, this is not a bad album. I was aware of Nectar, so I was, to see this, I thought I'd pick it up. I don't see too many of their albums, which is strange, but there you go. Continuing the prog vein, this is Chris Squire's first solo album, Fish Out of Water. It came out in '75. This is an original press. It had a big reissue a couple of years ago. This features quite a lot of members of Yes or ex-Yes. Bill Bruford's on here, Patrick Morazzi's on here, Pete Sinfield, who I'll go on to later, is also involved with the record. Yeah, it's a good album actually. This is pretty much what Chris Squire brought to Yes, and yeah, it's really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening to it. I'm glad I got it. It's been one of those albums I'd been seeing for a while. Yeah, it is a standard prog, but I think it highlights what Chris Squire, as I said, brought to Yes. Now, in my catch-up finds, June to November series of videos, I showed an album by this band, and I managed to pick up another couple. So this is Blue Mink, and this is their debut album, Melting Pot. And it really was featuring sort of like the session guys of this, of the top session guys at the time, but also including Madeline Bell on vocals and Roger Cook. Now, as I said, this is the debut album, Melting Pot, and that's the well-known track on it. It was the first big hit single, sort of an ode to let's all come together and live as one. Maybe something that we could do with doing today. So that's that album, but I also managed to pick up this Our World. And it's not as good as Melting Pot, and it's not as good as Fruity as I showed in previous videos. Being session musicians, they were pretty much on what was going on around. There's a lot of funk, there's a lot of soul, there's even some like Americana in this as well. This album's not as good as the other two, but it does have a good version of Gasoline Alley Bread, which wouldn't be surprised as Roger Cook co-wrote the song. But yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, I'm looking at Melting Pot, Country Chic, Mary Jane, that's the Melting Pot. It's well worth picking up because they're not that expensive. They're not well, you don't see them about as much, and it's probably the first few Blue Mink albums that I've ever seen. They're well worth picking up. Next, sort of going back to the prog a little bit, this is a compilation. It's by a band called Pete Brown and Piploco, I think is how you Piploco or whatever, how you pronounce it. This is a part of the Harvest Heritage range. I think they did a couple of albums very early in the 70s and sort of split up. And it's as it said, Pete Brown, and I'm just thinking he worked with Cream. Then when Cream split up, he started his own band. Yes, I did a couple of albums. The albums themselves are quite really rare. I know Pete in the Shop had one, and I think it was 3 figures. So this might be your best way of getting into this. Again, it's just standard sort of like prog, rock, prog. Some a bit more up to date. This is Strange Creatures, the best of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and I'm trying to get the year 84 to 2014. I've been listening to a lot of Nick Cave recently. I think he's probably rock's most outstanding writer at the moment. Obviously going through various ups and downs in his life. Again, I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think I had to be a little bit older to sort of appreciate this. As I say, this is a triple album, so you've got basically up to 2014 the sort of tracks, the Mercy Seat, Nature Boy, and probably the biggest hit he ever had, Where the Wild Roses Grow, which he was a sort of duet with which did with Kylie Minogue. That came from the Murder Ballad album, which was a lot of duets, including one with PJ Harvey. Next, Crusaders. Now this is those Southern Nights, and again I think this is a French pressing. It's on Carrere. I'm not, as I will go on to, I'm not a great jazz fan. I'm not a big jazz person, but I know the Crusaders. I've got Street Life, I've got the best of. I saw this, I thought the cover looks interesting. I think it's Lee Ritenour who's on guitar on here, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm probably, you should probably see there is a bit more jazz coming. So yeah, I'm pleased to pick that up. Sort of like late 60s psych pop classic, Elmer Gantry's Velvet Opera. This is comes to no surprise, this is a reissue, 2021 reissue on Gerson Records. I think this comes from Spain. It's apparently the first ever proper reissue. I think we've done it because it originally released on the CBS Direction label. They managed to put that on. It's got the back. It's all faithfully reproduced. It sounds good. It sprung to mind. It's maybe one of these albums you need to have. So I was pleased to pick that one up. Favourite artist of mine is Ian Hunter, and I've got Ian Hunter and the Ramp Band's Fingers Crossed album. This came out in 2016. Really good album, top of his game. Includes the track Dandy, which he wrote as a tribute to David Bowie, who had just passed away earlier that year. Guys, it's coming almost nearly 10 years. And yeah, this is wonderful. What I like about Ian Hunter, and I've said this before, born the same year as my dad, and he's still going. He's 85 now, and still going. And the proof of that is I managed to pick up a copy of Defiance Part 1, which came out 2022. And it's on the Sun label. I think that got resurrected. You'll be able to use that. This album features Jeff Beck, Mike Campbell, Johnny Depp's on here, Joe Elliott's on here, Taylor Hawkins, probably one of his last appearances, Billy Gibbons, Duff McKagan, Todd Rundgren's on here, Slash, Ringo, he's on here as well, and me, as it says on the end there. Still going strong. He put Part 2 out last year, and he shows no sign of slowing up. He's just a national treasure. They're giving Night Swords out away. Surely this man should be recognised. Should have been recognised before now. I mentioned Pete Sinfield earlier. He passed away in November last year. This is his only album he ever produced. Well, it's solo album he ever issued. It's on the Manticore label, which was Emerson, Lake and Palmer's label. This is a repress. The original comes in a sort of like, you see the colour there, that sort of colour. And you could see why, a great writer as he was for King Crimson and doing lyrics for Emerson, Lake with Greg Lake and like, it struggles. The album struggles a little bit. He's not the strongest vocalist in the world. There is YouTube footage of the old Grey Whistle Test appearance he made to promote the album. After this, he went to live in Mallorca. He lived in Spain for a few years. Got enticed back, and in a way, he had the last laugh because he wrote the lyrics to Bucks Fizz, Land of Make Believe, which was a #1 single. And And then I think Twice by Celine Dion, that's his lyrics as well. So, as I say, he passed away recently. He had been suffering ill health for some time. Yeah, it's just it's not bad. It's not a bad album, but it just shows that he wasn't a performer. Back to Prague, and to Holland. This is Earth and Fire, Song of the Marching Children. I believe this is their second album. This came out. This is not an original copy; it's a reissue. This is actually a Dutch copy. I've got a couple of Earth and Fire. I've got to keep take the wind out of this. Take the wind out of myself, so to speak. This is wonderful. Prague, early 70s Prague. Holland produced some wonderful bands, as I may have mentioned: Focus, Super Sister, Golden Earring, Shocking Blue. They were at the top of the game at the early 70s, so well worth seeking out. Something a bit more different. Magazine. This is the third album. The Correct Use of Soap came out in 1980. I think during that period, I think that year, Magazine did about 2 or 3 albums in that year. I only remember doing 2, and I think they were heavily promoted. This is sort of moves on from the debut. Produced by Martin Hannett, obviously known from the Manchester Steam Joy Division. Things had moved on a little bit. John Doyle had come in on drums. This is probably the last album that features John McGeoch as well on guitar. But it's still wonderful post-punk. It's well worth seeking out. They did a big reissue of Magazine albums before Christmas. So all of the albums have been reissued. So if you're curious, give it a listen, and then if you like it, just go and buy them. There's plenty of doing the rounds at the moment. Almost from the sublime to the ridiculous. This is Sparks and their album Hippopotamus from 2017. Sparks are, you could call them a one-off. Very grandiose. I think the track Edith Piaf says it better than me. You got the title track. You got Bummer on track 9. It's it comes double album. So Tell Me, Mrs. Lincoln. Aside from that, Howl's to Play. You know, just witty, just titles that draw you in. And it's just a great listen. I do like Sparks. It may be one of my sort of things is to complete the discography on albums of Sparks. I've got quite a few of their albums, probably more than I think. And a lot of it's been reissued, and so it might be worth seeking out. That might be one of my I wouldn't say resolutions, one of my goals for 2025. Got this just before Christmas. Modern Mokhtar's Funeral for Justice. Probably the best thing I saw of the Glastonbury clips on the telly this year. He's just an amazing guitarist, and it's just wonderful. This is just wonderful album. People know I like this sort of music. I've got Songhai Blues. Have got a new album coming out in January. Even better, he's got a new album coming out in February, which I'm so looking forward to. This makes me sound like a teenager. So looking forward to. It's just wonderful. Yeah, I really like this guy. I just admire his playing. He's probably the best guitarist out there at the moment. I said about jazz, and in the shop just before Christmas, I brought a couple of albums, probably what's deemed as classics. Out to Lunch by Eric Dolphy. Maybe a bit too many notes for me, but it's not that bad. I enjoyed it. These are not the recent Tone Poet reissues. These were the reissues that came out in 2016. A magazine company, D'Agostini, did a series called Jazz Greats, and I kicked myself for not actually picking up on this at the time. But they sound great. I mean, I'm not aficionado jazz, so I don't know a good jazz pressing from a poor one if it smacked me in the face. But this is, I enjoyed this. It's a bit more far out than what I listened to, but then I sort of counteract that with saying, well, I've got a bit of prog that goes a bit out there as well. And then Dexter Gordon's Go. Now, I'm aware of this. I'd heard this before, so I thought I'd have that as well. Again, a D'Agostini reissue. Yeah, I enjoyed that as well. Perfect Sunday morning listening. As I said, maybe jazz, maybe it's the last genre that I need to conquer, so to speak. Move away from jazz. I found this. I've got this as a 7-inch single, but this is the 10-inch version. This is the Head Girl EP, St. Valentine's Day Massacre EP. Came out in 1981. It was a top 10 single, a combination of Motorhead and Girls' School. So that the side A, the main track, was their version of Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, Please Don't Touch. On B-side, what they did was they did cover versions of each other's tunes. So Girls' School did Bomber, and Motorhead did Emergency, which is a cracking song, actually, their version of Emergency. Yeah, both singles, both were on Bronze Records. That's how that combination. And Girls' School did support Motorhead, I think, in 1979 on their tour. They Motorhead, for all, Let Me Bluster and wherever. He was actually very supportive to acts. He was a bit of a gentleman to the ladies, but somebody support you weren't the support spot for the Motorhead tour. You were sort of like they promoted. Even Tank, I saw Motorhead at 82, and Tank was supporting. Tank were awful, but halfway through the set, it was like Motorhead stopped and said, "What about Tank?" And the crowd was like, "Oh, we don't like him," so to speak, which put her down for the rest of the evening. Final record. This was the final purchase of 2024. Best of George Harrison. This originally came out in 1976, but this is a 1981 Music for Pleasure reissue. What they did with this is did one side dedicate to his Beatles output. So Something, If I Needed Someone, Here Comes the Sun, Taxman, Think for Yourself, For You Blue, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Side 2 more his solo stuff, My Sweet Lord, Give Me Love, You, Bangladesh, Dark Horse, What Is Life. Not bad. It plays well. It just fills a gap. So there you go. That was January. That was December. I'm just jumping ahead of myself. I'm planning to be a bit more prolific with my output this year. If I can try and get 2 or 3 videos a month, I'll be more than happy. So I hope you liked what I showed. If you did, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Feel free to leave a comment if you want it. I'll always get back to you. Thank you for your support over 2024. So whatever you get up to, VC, if you keep on spinning, look after yourselves. More importantly, keep on smiling.